Valentine's Day, the time of year where couples get to go to the most romantic dates they can think of and shower each other with chocolates and gifts. And for those of you who don't have a significant other to spend that most special of days with, I guess you can always go crazy and terrorize a town with a miner's outfit on. And no, I'm not talking about the child one. As you can tell, I'm going to be taking a look at the 1981 My Bloody Valentine movie. Why am I doing the movie My Bloody Valentine after Valentine's Day, and why did I do a Thanksgiving review on Valentine's Day instead? Well, I'm not great at timing, so this is what we get. And it was recommended I review it by Cheese 244 or 20,044. I don't know, the numbers always mess me up. My Bloody Valentine is a Canadian slasher film that shows Canadians can be murderous psychopaths too. So, sorry Ryan Reynolds. The main cast consists of Hollis, who even to this day is the definition of perfect male form, Howard, the town jokester, Mike, the short and loud one, Axel, the blonde bombshell who stole TJ's girl, TJ, the one who lost his girl to Axel, and John, who's just kind of John, and Sarah, the aforementioned girl who is now dating Axel. The movie starts off as most romantic movies do, with two dudes walking around in a mine shaft. Only it's not two dudes, and it's a guy and his lady friend, as they thought the most romantic thing they could do was get fully decked out in miner's gear and take a long and strenuous hike into a dark and dusty, dilapidated mine. Young love. But that's right before the masked miner impales the woman onto a pickaxe. I don't think that's how that's supposed to go. But we see the boys finish off their shifts in the mine to return to the one place that they will celebrate Valentine's Day like it's Christmas, and that's Valentine's Bluff, the little town with the big heart and a population of 3,785. Everyone meets up with their girlfriend, everyone that is except for TJ, as he seems to be more of a watch from the corner type of guy. And nothing screams Valentine's Day like a fake death prank. We also find out that TJ is actually the mayor's son, as he tried to make it big on the West Coast, presumably doing TikTok dances, but has returned home after falling on his face. Howard gives the mayor a Valentine's Day gift that was left for him, only to find out that the box doesn't contain delicious chocolate, only a moderately nutritious heart, as the paper that came with it states that this is just a warning. And what a warning indeed. The old man at the bar decides to give his spoken word poetry about how Valentine's Day is cursed, and I think it's just because he couldn't find a date to the dance. The old man continues to tell us the story of Harry Warden, and yes, that is his actual name. How he and 4 other miners were trapped in the mine after a Michael Bay explosion trapped them all in there, due to the negligence of the supervisors who decided to just leave their jobs and go attend the Valentine's Day dance, which is a weird thing for a 40-year-old man to be doing in my opinion, but after 6 weeks it turns out that Harry managed to survive being trapped in the mine for so long by eating the deceased bodies of those trapped with him. This of course caused Harry to go insane, and after being released from the loony bin, he enacted his revenge on the supervisors by cutting out their hearts and leaving a note with them in candy boxes, telling the townspeople to never hold a Valentine's Day dance again, which it wasn't the dance's fault, it was the supervisor's fault, but maybe he also couldn't find a date to the dance. Maybe he was just like super jealous. And before I continue, something needs to be pointed out in this scene, something I have never ever before seen in a medical examiner's office. Ass. But now the mayor and the chief of police are freaking out trying to call and see if Harry's still locked up, but all they get is a call back in the morning because that's way too much work for the night shift to do. It also turns out that the doctor can tell everything about the victim just by looking at the heart, that it belongs to a woman about 30 years old, likes long walks on the beaches, and taking treks through dark, dusty mines. Like, this dude he's a master. And Miss Mabel gets murdered for trying to spread love for the Valentine's Day dance, and just like an STD, this love spreading ends in death. And of course, TJ tries to argue with Axel about him dating Sarah, which is weird since he did just kind of bail and expect to come back and her not have moved on. Like, what was she supposed to do? Wait for him like he just got sent off to prison? But speaking of prison, the chief of police gets a call back from the place that Harry was committed to by court order, which they say about 20 times, and they have absolutely no record of him ever being there, so oopsies, I guess. The chief goes to tell Mabel that they may have to cancel the dance due to Harry being a bad sport, and somehow he manages to notice that all the hearts are turned upside down, and even that there's a weird smell, so he even starts smelling all the random laundry. but misses the dryer that is covered in blood.
Bruh.
That is until Mabel pops out after having been dried on the highest setting. You should never dry your laundromat owners on the highest setting, that's how they shrink. And upon seeing this, the mayor decides that there will be no more Valentine's Day dance, and TJ's plan to get Sarah back is to kidnap her, and I'm not joking. Well, kind of, but he kind of just takes her out of the blue, and it works, so screw Axel, I guess? So when they find out that they can't have a Valentine's Day dance, they decide to have a Valentine's Day party, which, if we just set aside the fact that those are the exact same thing, where would they hold such a party? Well, not a party, not a dance, but a party. Well, TJ suggests that they can have it in his father's mind, which sounds as romantic as a full 5-star dinner with roses. Upon hearing this, the bar owner is none too happy as he tells them that Harry is going to get them, and to really stick it to those punk kids, he's decided he's going to go set up a little scare for them with a fake Harry that swings a pick at them. But no one likes someone who laughs at their jokes one too many times, and the fake Harry somehow turns into a real Harry and promptly inserts a pick where you don't want one inserted. And it's now the big day, but nobody is celebrating Valentine's Day due to the fact that they don't want to be murdered by a crazy minor who was institutionalized 20 years ago. Or at least that's what all the lonely people are saying. But now it's time for the big party as all the cool and hip townsfolk are there. Even this guy, who is this guy, you may ask? Well, he decides he's really going to go look close at those hot dogs that are cooking in the kitchen, only for Harry to help him get a closer look. And the worst part about this whole situation is that now all the hot dogs are going to taste like face. The chief gets another moderately nutritious heart that tells him to stop the party, and of course he's upset because he didn't get an invitation. And so far, out of everything that's happened in this movie, this punch that Axel lays on TJ is the most deserving thing so far, because oh man, has TJ really just made a mess of things in Axel's life. Man, I really do feel bad for Axel. He was just trying to live his life out here. Just go work in the mine, go home to your girl, do it all over again. And remember the man who was introduced to us only to later go bobbing for hot dogs? Well, said hot dog water now contains a boiled heart, which of course sends no one into a stir as they only wave it off as some joke that Howard probably pulled, just ignoring the fact that wherever that heart came from, whether it be animal, human, or plastic, has just been chilling with the hot dogs. So the doggies are now compromised. This party just keeps getting worse. But John and his lady friend sneak off to have some alone time, but John leaves her alone momentarily to go get more beer. This lady friend seems to have a fear of hanging laundry falling from the ceiling, so as long as that doesn't... damn it. Anyway, Mr. Harry shows up and turns her into a showerhead, which just reminds me to never contract Harry to redo my bathroom. And man, these people really like mines around these parts, because Hollis's girlfriend says that they should take Sarah down into the mines and that will make her feel better. What? So off they go into the mine, the most romantic place under the earth. And while the gang is in the mine shaft is having the time of their life, all hell has broken loose up on the surface world, where Hot Dog Guy has finally been discovered and John tells him about what happened to his lady friend. Oh look, it's what you had to dial to reach police and fire departments before 9/11 happened. Would you look at that, huh? What a time. But now TJ and Axel decide to put aside their lover's quarrel and go save the gang in the mine. But they did decide that they had the time to get their gear on, so must not have been too urgent. Turns out that Harry hates light bulbs, and Howard and Hollis mistake the sound of exploding light bulbs for rats because I'm sure they make the same exact sound. And so now that almost everyone has regrouped in the mine, they decide to now split up because we know that always works. But Hollins finds Mike and Harriet, but it appears that they're a bit stuck together at the moment, as Hollins gets nailed in one of the slowest death scenes I've ever seen in a while. And sleep well, sweet prince. You will be missed. In the arms of the angel. Howard and the girls see Harry coming down the mine shaft, and Harold, being the only sensible person apparently, is trying to get them to leave with him and leave Hollins' obviously dead body, to which Sarah says, "You can't leave us like this." And he's not trying to leave, y'all. He's telling y'all to follow him, but y'all are the two ones that are not moving anywhere. It's like seeing a tree falling, and instead of getting out of the way, you're like, why are you leaving us? You're leaving us to die. But now Axel meets up with the girls and is trying to get them out of there. The gang then gets back to the lift, only to see that the control panel has been busted. must have been a rat. On their way climbing out of the mine, they find out what happened to Howard, that being that he got a little strung up. The gang decides to go back to the rail carts by taking a shortcut. While doing so, though, it appears that Axel is attacked by Harry and dropped into the 60-foot deep water. Once again, TJ and the girls split up since it's worked so well every other time that they've decided to do it. And unfortunately, Betty gets pickaxed, leaving only Sarah. Sarah and TJ, that is, as he randomly appears again as he seems to like doing. We then get the most thrilling chase you've ever seen in your life as Harry is following TJ and Sarah on the minecart, and oh man, that mask must really obstruct Harry's vision because he just keeps slamming his pick into the wall as he backs TJ and Sarah back further into the mine. During the big fight scene though, Sarah rips off Harry's mask only to reveal that it's actually Axel, which complicates things, but we see why he's doing what he's doing, and that's because he was the son of one of the supervisors who were killed by Harry, which why would he follow in the footsteps of the person who killed his father? That's a real Uno reverse card right there if I've ever seen one. And due to his aimless swinging, Axel causes a cave-in, trapping him inside. The chief also shows up and explains that Harry died years ago. Thanks for the update, Chief. Axel, then being pinned underneath the rocks, cuts his arm off because I guess he's a huge fan of James Franco, and recedes into the mine laughing maniacally like a madman. And now, it's review time. For a quick summary of how I rate my movies, it has 3 main categories: plot, acting, cinema. Each can get anywhere from 0 to 3, and it also has a bonus point to make it an even 10. Simple enough. For the plot, it gets a 1. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense when it comes to why. Just because Axel's dad was killed on Valentine's Day, I mean, sure, go off, I guess, but it's just so weird why he would just all of a sudden flip the script and decide, I want to be like the person who killed my pa. And not only that, I'm gonna make sure it's always on Valentine's Day, because if it wasn't for Valentine's Day, my dad would have never died. Well, maybe if your dad was a bit more responsible at his job and didn't go to a party instead of leaving an entire crew of workers unattended in a highly dangerous mine apparently, then he would have been just fine. So maybe your dad was the bad guy, Axel. Did you ever think of that? And also, if Axel was the killer the entire time, why not kill TJ when he had him alone multiple times? Like, he has to know that TJ is his most likely opposition here, and he just decides, you know what, I'm gonna let this drag on a little bit further. So not only are Axel's motives confusing and odd, he doesn't even know how to enact them correctly, so just gets the 1 for me. For acting, it gets a 1.5. I mean, it wasn't anything too special. They are Canadians, they tried their best. It's just some of the lines came off odd in my opinion, but maybe that's just because they're Canadians in the 1980s and they talk funny. So I think the acting was fine. It's 1980s. It's kind of what you would expect from a movie in the 1980s, so I thought it was middle of the road. I thought it was good. I was immersed throughout the majority of it, so 1.5 for me. Good job, Canadians. For the cinematography, it gets 2. It's actually pretty good for the time. As previously stated, it's the 1980s. I also like how they changed the camera whenever there was a depiction of something gory. It almost adds a gritty feel to it, making you feel a bit uneasy. It kind of gives that sense of, oh, the film is distorted and it's gritty and grimy, and it really kind of pushes it out to you. It's like, hey, you see this old lady who just popped out of the dryer? This is supposed to be a bad thing, in case you couldn't tell. But it just adds a little bit more. And it's the small things like that that really help a movie look better, in my opinion, by just adding something to help you feel a little bit more of what's going on. So it gets a 2. That's a pretty good grade for the cinematography, especially for a movie out of the 1980s. But for the bonus point, of course it's getting the full bonus point. It's a Valentine's Day horror movie in the 1980s nonetheless. I mean, everyone else who doesn't have a date on Valentine's Day, here's your inspiration. No, I'm kidding. Please don't go pickaxing people, but I give it the full bonus point because Valentine's Day every holiday needs to have a horror movie. I'm gonna make a playlist of me reviewing all these different Valentine's Day, Halloween, Christmas, any holiday horror movie I could think of. I'll make it its own playlist. It'll be the holiday horrors. But if we go ahead and add up all those scores together, don't worry, I have come equipped with a calculator. So with the 1 for the plot, the 1.5 for the acting, the 2 for the cinema, and the 1 for the bonus, that leaves us with a grand total of 5.5 out of 10 for my final score. If we go ahead and compare that to the IMDb score, it has a 6.2 out of 10. So once again, I'm sticking to the tradition of me slightly grading movies a little bit more harshly than IMDb is, which IMDb is a collective of thousands of people. But are those thousands of people making a funny haha YouTube video about it? I don't think so. So I have that of a 5.5. That's middle of the line. I highly recommend going and watching this movie. It's great to watch on Valentine's Day if you and your significant other are very much horror fans and you don't want to go out to some fancy restaurant, or you don't want to go and sit by the moonlight and watch the lake wash over the sands. Watch this movie, get some popcorn, have a nice night in. That sounds awesome to me. But that is my rating for the movie My Bloody Valentines. Thank you for everyone who stopped by and watched. The last 2 videos have absolutely gone off the rails. They've exceeded my expectations so greatly. So thank you to anyone who watched those. Thank you to anyone who watches this one. Just a couple of videos ago, I was talking about how I was almost at 500. Now we're almost at 1,000. So let's go. Let's keep the gravy train going. The sooner I can make money off of this, the sooner I can make more videos. So that sounds like fun. But anyways, thank you to anyone who stopped by. As always stated, if you have any suggestions on movies you'd like me to review, leave them in the comments below. Let me know what you think about My Bloody Valentine. Let me know if you're the person who's gonna go and be a psychopathic killer because you didn't have a date for the Valentine's Day dance. Just let me know. Let me know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, helps me out a lot. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one.